Lena lies in her bed, pale, a bit stronger now, but still fragile. Her fingers move slowly over her sketchbook, tracing lines of a half-finished drawing. It's a mess of soft graphite and emotion. Caleb's face, mid-surgery, brows furrowed, jaw tense. She quickly flips the page as the door creaks open. Caleb steps in, holding a clipboard, but his eyes lift as soon as he sees her. "You're up earlier than usual," he says. "Couldn't sleep," she replies. "Nightmares. Or maybe just remembering." He pauses, sets the clipboard down, takes a step closer. "What do you remember?" he asks carefully. She hesitates. The crash. The way the rain sounded when the car rolled. The deer. And then, a voice. His brows lift. "You said, 'Good girl,' after I came back," she whispers. He looks surprised, almost embarrassed. Then his lips twitch upward. "You heard that?" She nods. "It wasn't a professional thing to say," he mutters. "It was human," she says, meeting his eyes. "I needed human." For the first time, he sits in the chair by her bed. Not rushed. Not checking vitals. Just present. Her pencil rests on her lap. "Thank you," she says, more serious now. "Not just for the surgery, but for seeing me when I didn't want to be seen." His eyes flick to hers. The walls around him twitch, but don't fall. "You weren't supposed to remember any of this," he says. "Most patients wake up angry, scared. But you." "I woke up grateful," she finishes. He stands suddenly, as if reminded of his role. "I should go rounds." She nods, trying not to show the sting of his retreat. But as he walks to the door, he pauses. "I meant it," he says. "You're tougher than you look." And he's gone. She stares after him, unsure what hurts more, his presence or his exit. In the following days, her body strengthens, but her heart becomes more exposed. Caleb checks in like clockwork. Brief visits. Polite smiles. Occasionally, he leaves behind little notes. Encouragement. Jokes. One simply says, "Your drawing of me made me look 6 feet 3 inches. Keep that energy." One night, she leaves him a folded page from her sketchbook, a pencil drawing of 2 hands, one reaching down, the other reaching up. In the middle, a spark. A caption underneath. "Not all heroes wear scrubs. But some do." He doesn't say anything about it, but the next morning, he sits longer. Watches her as she eats slowly. Their words are fewer now, but their silences are louder. When she's finally cleared for discharge, the energy shifts. Her room is packed. Sketches rolled up. Bag zipped. Caleb walks in, tries to keep it light. Ready to escape. "Ready to breathe," she says. "Outside air, real coffee, no hospital gowns." He hands her an envelope. "Read it later," he says. "Please." She watches him, trying to memorize his face. "Will I see you again?" she asks, not hiding the vulnerability in her voice. "I don't know," he says honestly. "But I hope so." She nods. Leaves without looking back. Days pass. The city is alive again. Lena walks through a park, wind in her hair, sun breaking through clouds. She sits on a bench and opens the envelope. Inside, a letter in his handwriting. "If you ever hear this, thank you for surviving. I didn't just save your life that night. You reminded me why I do this. You made me feel again. I kept my distance because I wasn't sure if it was real. But I've read every one of your drawings. And if this is real, then I don't want it to end in silence. I'll be at the gallery opening. If you don't show, I'll understand. But if you do, I'll be waiting." 3 months later, Lena's first gallery show fills a small art space with quiet gasps and admiration. Her work lines the walls, stormy, emotional, breathtaking. But one section stands apart. A sign reads, "The man who healed me." People stop and stare at the centerpiece, a beating heart, split in two, half anatomical, detailed like a textbook, half abstract, wild with color and motion. Caleb walks in near the end. No lab coat. Just a dark jacket and quiet eyes scanning the room. He stops at the painting. She appears beside him. No big entrance. No announcement. Just her. I wasn't sure you'd come, she says softly. I wasn't sure I could stay away, he answers. They stand in silence, facing the painting. Her hand slips into his. I was grateful, she whispers. But this isn't gratitude anymore. I know, he says. This is love. Their hands tighten. The sounds of the gallery fade as the heart on the wall pulses with color, light, and everything they never said. The past is behind them. The healing is still happening. But this moment, this is theirs. Lena struggles to walk. Caleb watches from a distance. She stumbles. He rushes forward, catches her. Their eyes lock. Too long. Lena. You always show up right on time. Caleb, quietly. It's habit. Lena sits alone. Caleb joins her. Silence. Lena. I don't remember much, but I remember wanting everything to stop. Caleb. And now. Lena. Now. I want to understand why I'm still here. A pause. She looks at him. Lena. You're why. Caleb confides in Nurse Kelly. Caleb. She thinks she's in love with me. Kelly. And. Caleb. She's grateful. It's not real. Kelly. Or maybe. You're afraid it is real. Lena writes something carefully. Seals it in an envelope. Leaves it on her pillow. The next morning, her bed is empty. A nurse hands Caleb the envelope. He opens it. Reads. Lena. You made me feel alive again. That matters. Whether you feel the same or not, thank you for seeing me when no one else did. I'm leaving not because I want to disappear again, but because I want to start living. You saved my life, Caleb. Don't forget that. Caleb sits, restless. Reads the letter again. Looks at his phone. No messages. A waitress notices he hasn't touched his coffee. Waitress. Rough day. Caleb. I let someone go, because I was scared of what they made me feel. Crowds buzz. A small gallery opens with a new exhibit, Survival Stories. Lena stands proudly. Her artwork lines the walls bold, raw, emotional. One piece catches everyone's attention. A portrait of Caleb, his eyes filled with light and pain. A man steps in. Caleb. Clean-shaven. Nervous. They lock eyes. She walks over slowly. Lena. Did you come to see your face on a wall? Caleb. No. I came to tell you. Pauses. You were right. It wasn't just gratitude. I felt something too. I just didn't think I deserved it. She doesn't speak. Just looks at him. Caleb. You healed more than I ever did. He holds up a small card, a coffee shop loyalty card with one stamp. Caleb. You owe me 9 more coffees. Lena, smiling. I'll buy. It's him. Dr. Caleb Reeves. Mask off this time. Calm, collected, with tired eyes that still hold focus. She tries to speak. Barely a whisper. You're the one who saved me. He looks at her. A small smile plays at his lips. That's my job, he says, voice smooth but quiet. She smiles faintly and closes her eyes again. But something lingers between the seconds, in the silence that follows. Not clinical. Not duty. Just something. The next few days pass gently, and though Lena barely moves, her eyes track the door now. Waiting. Hoping. And he comes. Not for long. But he comes. Sometimes just to check vitals. Sometimes to adjust her for. But each visit softens something between them. She notices how he never rushes with her. How he sits for an extra second even after he says goodbye. How he watches her art sketches quietly before asking, "Did you always draw?" She shrugs. "When I was a kid. Then, life." He returns the next morning with a soft pencil set in hand. Nothing fancy, just thoughtful. Her eyes light up in a way he hadn't seen before. "Consider it rehab," he says, a little smirk hidden beneath his usual reserve. She starts sketching again. First shaky, then bolder. She draws hands. Her hands. A bed rail. The outline of his face from memory. One day, he sees it. "That's me?" he asks, mockingly offended. She chuckles. Sorry. You looked more heroic in my head. I'll take it, he says, and something changes. He lets the moment linger. The days deepen. She opens up. Talks about the spiral that led to her crash. A breakup. A lost job. A feeling that the world was just done with her. I didn't want to die, Caleb. I just didn't want to exist like that anymore. He listens. No clipboard. No judgment. Just Caleb. But Lena isn't the only one unraveling. He starts lingering at her door after his shift. Watching her sleep, just for a moment, before walking away. Nurses notice. They tease. Careful, Dr. Reeves. Looks like someone's got a heartbeat outside the monitor. A nurse jokes. He rolls his eyes, but later he can't shake it. He sits in the locker room alone, staring at nothing. A crack in his armor. She's getting better. Laughing again. Joking. Children with balloons. Hope. He walks in one day to find her laughing with another doctor. His chest tightens. He doesn't know why. When he steps in, she lights up differently. The other doctor notices. He excuses himself. Caleb approaches. You're healing fast, he says. You gave me a reason to. She says it so sincerely, so openly, that it leaves him speechless. That night, he doesn't sleep. He stands on his apartment balcony, city lights flickering, coffee in hand. His reflection in the glass stares back at him. She wasn't just grateful. And he wasn't just doing his job anymore. But he can't cross that line. Not ethically. Not morally. Still, the heart doesn't recognize boundaries. The next morning, she leaves a small drawing on her bed, a faceless figure standing in the rain, holding an umbrella over someone else. Underneath it, a note. You kept me dry when the world soaked me. I don't know what to call that. But it feels a lot like love. He finds it. Reads it slowly. Sits in her empty room longer than he should. She didn't wait for an answer. She had checked herself out. He doesn't chase. Not right away. Too much risk. Too much confusion. But the hospital feels colder now. Empty in places it shouldn't. Days pass. He tells himself it was for the best. Until one evening, his mail arrives. Inside, a postcard. No return address. Just a gallery flyer, an art showcase titled Finding Light After the Storm. Her name's at the bottom. He's there the next day. He enters quietly. Crowds move around him. Her art is alive, colors that pulse. Pain and beauty tangled on canvas. Then he sees it. A portrait of him. Standing tall in a hospital hallway. Half shadow, half light. His expression drawn with aching precision. The title, The Moment I Decided to Stay. He turns. She's behind him. Watching. You came, she says softly. I had to know if I was still part of the story. You were never just a chapter, she replies. He steps closer. I told myself it was gratitude. A trauma bond. An illusion. But she doesn't let him finish. She takes his hand. I don't want to wonder anymore, she says. Not about you. He looks at her fully now. No masks. No hospital lights. Just Lena. Alive. Glowing. I didn't just save your life, he whispers. You reminded me I had one too. They stand in the center of her art, not touching, not kissing, just holding each other's gaze. More intimate than anything physical. Two hearts finding breath. Outside, the rain starts to fall. This time, they don't run from it. The low hum of machines. A golden glow of sunset peeks through the blinds. Lena stands, slowly, gripping the four-pole for balance. Her body still healing, but her eyes clear, focused. Caleb enters, surprised to see her up. You should be resting, he says gently. I've done enough lying down, she replies with a fragile smile. She walks toward him, slowly, shakily. You didn't just fix my body, she says. You reminded me I'm still alive. He opens his mouth to respond, but before he can, she leans forward and kisses him softly on the cheek. The moment is quiet, electric. Caleb's eyes widen. He doesn't move, doesn't breathe. She pulls back, immediately flustered. "I'm sorry," she whispers. I just had to say thank you." He gives a faint nod, but he says nothing, then walks out. Caleb leans against a wall, jaw tense. Nurse Kelly approaches, coffee in hand. "She kissed me," he says flatly. Kelly raises an eyebrow, romantically. He doesn't answer. That's enough of an answer. "She thinks she's in love," he finally mutters. It's a trauma response. Kelly sips her coffee, not looking at him. "Maybe," she says. "Or maybe you're just used to keeping your heart on a ventilator." Lena sits at the small rolling table, her sketchbook pushed aside. Instead, she writes, pen shaking, thoughts pouring out. Her handwriting is messy, real, honest. "I don't know what this feeling is, but I think about you when I close my eyes. I hear your voice even when the machines are quiet. I don't know if that's love, but I do know that something inside me woke up the day you wouldn't let me die." She folds the letter and places it on her nightstand. Caleb sits at his desk. A nurse knocks, hands him an envelope. "She asked me to give you this." He opens it, reads. Slowly. As his eyes move down the page, his breath catches. He stares at the final sentence for a long time. "If I fall again, I want it to be for something real. Not darkness. Not death. But maybe, for you." His fingers tighten around the paper. He folds it carefully, placing it in his desk drawer. Then locks the drawer. Caleb stands alone. The city below buzzes. He stares out, silent. He pulls out his phone. Types Lena's name. His thumb hovers over the call button. He doesn't press it. He puts the phone away. Lena lies awake, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Her hand rests over her chest where the heart monitor once beeped. She turns her head slowly. The door is closed. No footsteps in the hallway. No sign of him. She exhales deeply, blinking back tears. She gets up, gathers her drawings, folds up her letter drafts. She doesn't cry, not now. Just quiet strength in motion. A nurse finds a note. "I'm leaving early. Not because I'm giving up, but because I'm ready to live. Thank you for giving me that chance." No signature, but a sketch of Caleb's silhouette is drawn beneath the message. He's cooking, badly. The pan burns. He lets it. He walks to his bookshelf, pulls out a novel. A page falls out, a drawing. Of him. From Lena. He sits on the couch, drawing in hand, staring. A chalkboard sign reads, "Local artist showcase things that saved me." Caleb walks in quietly. Art fills the walls, sketched memories of pain, joy, recovery. He pauses in front of a canvas titled Unwritten Goodbyes. It's a sketch of a hospital room. A man standing in the doorway, watching a woman sleep. Lena stands behind him. She says nothing. Neither does he. They just stand, breathing the same air again. He turns finally. Their eyes meet. "I thought it was just gratitude," he says softly. "But I was wrong." She tilts her head, cautious hope in her eyes. "What is it now?" He looks at her, really looks. No mask. No coat. Just Caleb. It's something I don't want to walk away from again. And then, finally, his hand reaches for hers. Caleb exits an exam room, distracted. At the end of the hallway, Lena sits in a wheelchair, suitcase at her side, discharge papers being finalized. Her hair is tied back loosely, and there's a quiet strength in her posture, but her eyes search for one thing. Him. Their eyes meet for a brief second. She offers the softest smile, small, unsure, but real. Caleb looks away. He walks past her without a word. Not even a nod. Lena's smile collapses. Her chest rises with a breath she's trying to control. Her fingers tighten around the armrests of the wheelchair, anchoring herself to something that still feels real. Was it all in her head? Her ride pulls up outside. The nurse helps her out the door. No goodbye. No send-off. Just a void she hadn't prepared for. She holds it together, until the car turns the corner. Inside the hospital, Caleb leans against a wall. The letter she wrote him still sits folded in his pocket, unread. He hasn't thrown it away, he can't. But he can't open it either. Not yet. He stares ahead, jaw tense, like he's trying to convince himself that silence was the right call. In his office, the lights are off. He doesn't bother turning them on. He just sits in the dark, surrounded by plaques, medical journals, and a reputation that has always kept his heart sterile. His eyes fall to the letter again. He traces the edges but doesn't unfold it. A knock on the door breaks the silence. It's Dr. Mason, longtime colleague, casual tie loosened, coffee in hand. "You let her go," Mason says without needing confirmation. Caleb says nothing. "She changed something in you," Mason continues, leaning against the file cabinet. "We all saw it. The way you smiled after checking in on her. The way you stopped treating medicine like war." "She kissed me," Caleb says, almost in disbelief. "And I told myself it was a trauma response. That she wasn't really feeling what she thought she was feeling. That I wasn't either." Mason gives a half smile. "You guard yourself like it's a surgical wing. But maybe someone finally got through." Caleb stares out the window. "She reminded me of the life I've been ignoring," he admits. "And I thanked her by making her feel like a fool." "Then stop hiding behind medicine and go fix it," Mason says. "You'd fight for a flat line harder than you fought for her." That night, Lena sits alone in her small apartment. The walls are blank. Her sketchbook is open, but the pencil just rests in her hand. She's drawn nothing today. Not because she's empty, but because she's too full of things she doesn't know how to release. She turns on her phone, scrolls to a playlist. A song plays. Soft, nostalgic. She presses it against her chest. Her eyes close. She lets the music say what she's been too afraid to admit out loud. Across the city, Caleb sits on his couch, unshaven, tired. The apartment is spotless but lifeless. The kind of clean that comes from avoidance. He opens the drawer of his coffee table and pulls out her sketch, the one she left behind. A silhouette of him standing in the hospital hallway, a quiet hero. He opens her letter. "I don't know if what I felt was love, or just the first warm thing I'd felt in years. But I know it was real. And I know I saw something in your eyes that told me even if you couldn't say it, you felt it too." He closes his eyes. When he opens them again, he grabs his keys. Rain starts to fall as he drives, wipers dragging slowly. The streets are empty, wet, glowing orange under the city lights. He finds her building. No umbrella. Just him, soaked, heart racing in ways he thought he'd buried forever. He knocks. Lena opens the door slowly, surprised. Her eyes are tired, but soft. She's not wearing makeup. Not smiling. Just real. "You came," she says, barely above a whisper. "I didn't know how to say it until you were gone," he says. "I convinced myself you were just grateful. But the truth is, I was scared. Of how much I wanted it to be more." She leans against the doorframe, not moving. Letting the words settle. "I don't want to be your regret, Caleb," she says. "You're not," he replies quickly. "You're my reminder. That I'm human. That I can feel something more than responsibility and protocol." She doesn't speak. "I want to try," he says. "No titles. No white coats. Just, you and me." She studies him for a long moment. Her walls are still up. But the cracks are showing. He steps closer. "If you give me a second chance, I'll never make you feel like you imagined any of it." A silence stretches, heavy with memory. Then, quietly, she opens the door just enough. Not all the way, but enough. He steps in, and this time she lets him stay. Lena sits on a quiet park bench as the early morning light filters through the trees. A letter trembles slightly in her hands, still crisp, sealed with his handwriting on the front. She hesitates, then opens it. Her eyes begin to move across the page. Caleb's voice begins to rise beneath the natural sounds of birds and breeze. "You weren't wrong. I felt it too. Every time I walked into that room and saw your eyes light up, I felt something. But I told myself it was misplaced gratitude, that you were clinging to the closest thing that kept you alive. And I convinced myself I wasn't allowed to feel anything back. But I did. I do. And maybe, if this is love, it deserves a chance to breathe outside of trauma, outside of fear. Just one cup of coffee. One honest conversation. No white coats. No pressure. If you're willing to meet me, I'll be there. Saturday. 9 a.m. cafe on 4th Street. I'll be waiting. Caleb. The voice fades as she finishes reading. A long breath escapes her lips. She folds the letter carefully. Not rushed. Not hesitant. Her face unreadable, but her eyes burn with something alive. Saturday morning. The cafe on 4th Street buzzes gently with quiet chatter, clinking mugs, the smell of cinnamon and espresso in the air. Lena walks in slowly, glancing around. Her outfit is simple, casual, but she's never looked more present. She chooses a small corner table by the window. Orders tea. Checks the time. 9:03. Her fingers tap against the side of the ceramic cup. Every time the bell above the door rings, she turns. But it's never him. 9:10. She reaches for her bag. The bell rings again. He walks in. No lab coat. No clipboard. Just Caleb in a dark sweater, eyes searching for her, nervous, human. She freezes. Their eyes meet. He offers the smallest, most uncertain smile. I needed to be sure, he says softly as he walks to her table. Sure of what? She asks, barely trusting her voice. Not about you, he says. About me. That I wasn't confusing responsibility with connection. That I wasn't chasing something just because I missed the feeling of being close to someone. He sits. She watches him, arms folded gently across her chest, guarded but open. And? She asks. He exhales. Looks at her, really looks. And I realized. I wasn't chasing anything. I was missing you. The words land differently. No longer tangled in hospital walls or fluorescent lights. Just honest. They sit in silence for a moment. Then she breaks into a quiet laugh. Do you always wait until the last possible second to say the right thing? I'm a surgeon, he shrugs. We're trained to act in the final seconds. They both laugh. And just like that, the heaviness begins to lift. They talk. Not about the hospital. Not about wounds or gratitude. But about books. Music. Things they miss. Regrets. Coffee preferences. It feels like a beginning. No pressure. No titles. Just two people, navigating something fragile with respect and care. She reaches across the table, her fingers brushing his, not grabbing, not clinging. Just meeting halfway. And he doesn't pull away. The sunlight hits the window, casting a warm glow around them. People come and go. The world keeps moving. But at that table, something that nearly died has started to breathe again. And this time, it's not just a heartbeat on a monitor. It's love. Quiet. Earned. Alive. The gallery is warm with quiet murmurs, the kind of stillness where people whisper so the art can speak louder. Framed sketches and bold canvases line the walls, each piece pulsing with Lena's journey, raw, beautiful, unfiltered. A banner reads resilience in color. People walk slowly, thoughtfully, pausing at each moment she captured with pencil, ink, and heart. Near the back of the gallery, a separate section is marked with a small plaque, "The man who healed me." Caleb steps into the space quietly. He's dressed simply, no doctor's badge, no crowd around him. Just one man surrounded by scenes that reflect back pieces of himself he never knew someone was watching. There's a sketch of his hand holding hers in a hospital room, another of his silhouette standing in a doorway, and one piece at the center, an acrylic painting of a heart, split down the middle. Half is anatomical veins, valves, precise. The other half is abstract sweeping brushstrokes of red, gold, and violet. Emotion. Healing. Miss. Lena appears beside him silently. He doesn't hear her come up. He just feels her presence and turns. She slips her hand into his. They stand in front of the painting together. Not speaking for a moment. Just breathing. She looks at the heart. I used to think I felt all this because you saved me, she says, her voice just above a whisper. That maybe I was confusing love with survival. He watches her. Says nothing yet. But that feeling didn't go away. Not after I walked out of that hospital. Not after the silence. Not after coffee. Her hand tightens gently around his. I was grateful, but this isn't gratitude anymore. He turns to her now, eyes calm, soft, unguarded. I know, he says. This is love. She leans her head on his shoulder. Behind them, the heart between science and chaos, held together by color and courage. Around the gallery, people continue to admire her work, unaware of the story standing in the corner, quietly finishing its most beautiful piece. Outside, the city hums with life. Inside, the piano music swells gently as the lights dim around the canvas. No endings. Just beginnings.